That's right, Magic fans. We are back at this once again for your weekly installment of the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering. That's right, the top 10 is back again, February 9th to the 16th of 2024. If you want to know what the hottest selling card was, which card sold the most, all you got to do is stick around, guys, because we're about to start. Here we are back at it again with your host, MTG Moxman here. Reminder to everyone out there that if you enjoy the Moxman, you want more content, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell because new content comes out every single day. And of course, don't forget as well, you can support me on TCG Player just by using the affiliate link found in the description of this video for all your shopping experiences. Now let's start out at number 10 this week, and that's right, it's Massacre Girl, the known killer from the murders at Karlov Manor. Now, the sales this week have definitely upticked in the singles market. Even though the sealed product is going nowhere, the initial volume glut that I expected has finally hit the market. Now, the Massacre Girl, the known killer, had 2,800 sales this week, which is $42,812 in sales volume. This card has an average price of $15.29 US, and although the card is still falling slightly in price, the overall sales volume tells me it's going to stabilize very soon at somewhere around the $13.50 to $14.20 mark. It may dip a little bit lower depending on volume opened, but since we know the product's not going anywhere off of the store shelves, it's even being returned to distribution, means the price is probably going to stay pretty level. Now let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. Number 9 is the Commercial District. Again, Murders at Karlov Manor. Now, in case you guys were unaware, these lands, these surveil lands, being the mountain forest lands that they are, have definitely upticked in price. I remember 2 weeks ago when they were like $2.20, I really advised players to buy into the market, just buy some of that gold goodness of what these lands could offer you. And a lot of players did, bite the bullet and buy some play sets, but what ended up happening was more than I thought and more than I even expected possible, and that's when the market said, hey, these cards are actually pretty good. Let's buy a lot of them, and that resulted in this sale of 3,193 copies, or $12,772 of sales volume, or an increase of like a buck something just this week alone, which is like a 25% jack up on the market. So be aware of these lands. They're not going anywhere, and their full exposure to the market is yet to be determined. Now we're dropping into our next card here, and this is going to be the Vein Ripper. Now this one's a bit of a surprise, okay? I didn't expect to see this card with the sales volumes we're getting. Now this card's $8. You can see there the average price, it's falling in price, but the 3,360 sales, that's $26,880. What are we talking about? That's Black Lotus level. Okay, but this is a 6/5. It's got flying. It is, of course, a vampire and an assassin. The ward ability is kind of meh. It's an okay card. Okay, I would rather have Baron Singir just for the pure style of it. Of course, this is not a legendary creature, but it does have some uses, and I can see why players would buy it for vampire decks. It's just the volume of the sales that concerns me, because I still think this card's got a long way to fall. It's going to be like a $3 card as far as I'm concerned, but maybe the market will shift and say, no, it's more worthy than that, Moxman. You're just wrong. But that's okay, because we're going on to our next card, all right, guys? We're going down the top 10 here in style this week. So this is the Escape Tunnel. This is a 25-cent card, guys, but it had a lot of sales. 3,350 sales, but it's only $837.50 in total sales volume. The market's 16 cents, guys. Let's face it. This thing's a land that says, sacrifice the Escape Tunnel, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tapped. Okay, now you can picture that like Evolving Wilds. Makes perfect sense. It's the secondary ability that has players kind of into the conundrum. Escape Tunnel. You got to sacrifice it, and then target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Now this works very good, very well, very amazingly when you're using things that have, poison. Okay? Infect. Keep this stuff in mind, okay? This This card is more than people realize when you can mix it with things from March of the Machine. So keep your eye on this card. There's a reason why the copies are selling. It may not be the most expensive card, but that doesn't mean that its utilitarian purpose is anything less but amazing. So let's go ahead and drop it at number 6. Number 6 is coming up. What will number 6 be? Well, guess what? It's still going to be Murders at Karlov Manor, and this is the shadowy back street, which still reminds me of New Capenna. Come on, guys, be honest. This all reminds you of New Capenna. So much of this art is New Capenna, New Capenna, New Capenna. I don't care. New Capenna. Nukem. Duke Nukem. I'm off topic. 3,693 sales, guys. That's $17,000 plus in total sales volumes. Again, $4.87 as the average. Market $4.24. You can see this thing's uptrending just like a lot of these Murder at Markov lands because the surveillability and the fact it's plain swamp, all these kind of multifaceted lands, it's just more than players realize when they first looked at them at first glance. And then they realized, hey, these surveil lands aren't bad. Even I was kind of like, they're pretty good, but how much usage will they get? And then they went off, and that's all it takes sometimes. All right, now, Scion of Draco. Modern Horizons 2. I need an explanation for this, okay? Yes, I can record the data for you guys. I can go hunting for sales. $49,751 or 3,827 sales is phenomenal for a Modern Horizons 2 card to hit the list. So I need explanations. I need reasons why this card sold because I didn't look that much in depth. I was running out of time as I was counting. So you guys get to educate the Mox Man. You guys get to inform me why this dragon is selling so well. Now, I understand it has domain. I get some of the little quirks about it, but in my head I'm going, that's a lot of money. $13 a card is a lot of cash for a card like this. So if you've got reasons, if you've got a rationale, I would like to hear it, okay? And maybe, put a little panache in there, put a little boomstick so I know what you're talking about. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our next card as we wind ourselves down the list today. We are going to be a crime novelist. We are Murder, She Wrote. This is Jessica Lansbury writing her latest novel. Don't worry, it's okay. 4,148 sales, $11,116.64 cents. It's early in the morning. What do you expect? I'm looking at this card, and yes, it continues to fall in price because nothing connects with it really. No person's made this thing go off. Yes, we understand it should. We understand there's quirky stuff that could happen with this card. But because it doesn't have flash or anything spicy at the moment, it's getting overlooked. Does that mean it won't go off somewhere later on? Don't bet on it. Cards like this have a weird way of connecting later on, and then people didn't expect it, and then the card goes to like $20. This is something that Wizards of the Coast probably wants to have happen, so keep an eye on it. I still think this card's going to go somewhere, and it isn't found nearly as often as people want it to be, so it's kind of a difficult card to crack as well. I opened a lot of boxes, guys. It's not around as much as people would like it to be. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the number 3 card. This one here was something I did expect to be here this week. This is going to be the Leyline of the Guild Pack, okay? A lot of players are starting to utilize this. A lot of play sets of 4 selling. A few people buying 100 copies. Come on. 100 copies at $20 a copy, that's just insane. You should not be doing that. 4,579 sales. That's $94,000, guys. This is insane. But yes, most of it I saw was going to be play sets of 4, okay? I saw play sets of 4 over and over and over, all the way through from TCG Player, Card Market, Card Kingdom, local card stores. The data came in at a lot of 4 copies, people buying 4. All right, but the people who bought like the 100 plus copies, that's speculators definitely dipping into the market saying, I think this card could go somewhere. I'm not willing to take a risk on missing out of cash flow if this becomes a $50 card. Don't bet your money on it, guys, okay? Don't do it. It's going to get a reprint sooner or later if it goes too high. Thundering Falls is our next card, coming in at number 2 this week. A little bit of a surprise to see it so high in the market, but you got to remember, this thing is still one of the surveil lands. 6,134 sales. That's $53,000 of total sales volume, guys. The Markov lands have really jumped up. It really shouldn't be as big as a surprise as it is. For most players, it's kind of a shock to see so many LGSs sold out of the surveil lands, okay? And the fact that the stores are telling me that these are not coming to market. Players aren't trading them in, they're only buying them. They're buying and holding. They're not selling back into the market. It's kind of a greedy mentality, man. You're not selling your cards back to the card shop. What's wrong with you? Oh yeah, you're only giving me a couple of bucks of value. I might as well use the cards and see what I can do with them. That's where we're at, so pay attention. It's a different market than what it used to be. I'll talk about this in the roundup at the very end of the video as well, okay, guys? So don't worry, I'm going to cover this more. Now, let's go to the number 1 card. Can you guess what it is? What do you think? You think you're wrong. You're totally wrong. It is Undercity Sewers, which, by the way, remember I commented how much I like this artwork? 7,500 sales, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a caveat to this. I had to stop counting. I ran out of time, and I appreciate all the people who send me the data. Those are people that know who they are, and the data I look up. Guys, I ran out of time. So I stopped at 7,500. There were more sales. I may have it done as an aside for the live stream. For those who want to know, you can ask me again at the live stream. I might remember the answer. I might have counted it up by then. But I stopped at 7,500 just because I ran out of time. But that's $76,000 in sales, guys. It's insane. Now let's get to the roundup here. Let's finish things off because we do have to talk about what's happening with the sealed product in this market and why it's the pure insanity of what players expected versus what they find as an unexpected consequence to not opening more boxes, even at the insane price point that we have to deal with. Hey guys, welcome back to the roundup, the end piece of this video for your top 10 this week. It's a bit of a unique situation we're dealing with right now in MTG Finance because we don't know what's going to happen when players don't open boxes. Nobody really knows. And since we don't really have a tabulation of how many boxes exist, we don't know the print runs, we don't know how rare these cards are going to be, the market is having a bit of an up and down time judging the value in marketplace value for a lot of the singles we're seeing. Most cards in the Murders at Markov Manor are not going to go anywhere, but the land is something different. Those Surveil lands will have multiple play format uses in Eternal formats as well as standard and limited play. So when you look at those, you got to look at it a little bit differently. When people look at Anzarag, the Mole God, I love trying to use the card. I love making it work. But the funny thing is, as we've talked about in the past, so many creature cards can be dealt with so easily in Magic now. They don't have the value they used to have. They don't have the prestige they used to have because there's so many ways of killing them. There's so many ways of eliminating them and not just dealing creature to creature. Because of that, nobody's really afraid of a big creature anymore. You know you've got cards coming in your hand. You know you should have a way of dealing with it. And if you didn't build your deck right. Either you're going to try to counter it with a control deck, you're going to try to eliminate it by some kind of removal thing, or you're going to exile it entirely with spells like Farewell. So no big creature scares people. Planeswalkers are very limited and weak nowadays, so the formats themselves are very linear and very formulaic. They're very easy to deal with. I have no trouble building a deck if I wanted to go to Mythic, unless the game decides to not give me land inside of different arena games I play. We know how much I hate arena. Now, let's get back to Surveil. When you look at the Surveil mechanic, and these things are like forest, swamp, right? They're island, plains. When you look at those types of lands and those types of combinations, we are going to see more of these lands at some point. They're going to finish, of course, the rotation, the play sets of them, more Surveil, just like they've done in the past with other land mechanics. That's nice to know. But we don't know how many years it's going to be. We don't know the print run in which they're doing these. So even at $5 to $7, I'm going to be honest, it makes me... I have some of these lands myself. I did buy some when they were cheap. I took my own recommendation and bought them at $250. I bought them locally on the pre-sales, and I did get mine delivered to me, which is great. But I'm thinking to myself, I probably should have bought more. Just like the Triumphs, you're not really sure where they're going to go or how long the usage is going to be before Wizards reprints them. And that does kind of make you wonder where things will go. And not knowing can lead to FOMO. It can lead to that fear of missing out and makes you make irrational decisions with your money. So keep that stuff in mind when you're shopping around. But these lands being where they are now and the playability in the future, knowing will probably be at least a few years, 24 to 36 months of not having something reprinted seems like a pretty fair value for $3, $4, $5. So just keep it in mind. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Slam some stuff down. Join that conversation. Leave a boomstick in the comment section. If you made it this far, you might want to go a little further past the credits because there's something called the Ramble Jamble. And when we're in the Ramble Jamble, everybody's invited. A shout out, a thank you, a huge thank you to all the fantastic patrons we have here on the channel, my YouTube membership members, and the viewers of this channel. Without my patrons, the daily uploaded content that everyone enjoys just wouldn't be possible, guys. So thanks again to each and every one of you for supporting this channel. I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble, guys. You're at the end. You can turn your Necronomicon to page 109. Why the Murders at Karlov Manor is not selling. Because it sold its soul to the devil. Okay, guys, there's some crazy stuff going on here. The sales have basically dropped off. I mean, not a little bit. I mean, there haven't been any sales. That's where we're at. for the 14 stores that I've contacted, I ran out of time. The counting took forever this weekend. But when I was counting up all the sales, I did reach out to some stores in between. And a couple reach out regularly and let me know. And when I looked at it and saw the actual sales patterns, and you saw everything fall off, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty sold more than the murders at Karlov Manor. Okay? Some of these stores aren't restocking. They have 1 or 2 boxes. They haven't sold any since last week at the draft. So the sales are, they're worse than expected. Okay? It's just a fact. I'm just relaying the data to you that it's kind of intimidating to think that it's this bad, but that's where we're at. And because we're that bad, it makes me wonder what's going to happen. I like to wonder things. I like to be curious, right? Don't be judgmental, be curious. Remember that? Was that Ted Lasso? It was such a great line. So I look at that now and I wonder where we're going to be at with murders a year from now. There's no right or wrong answer. It makes you wonder what Wizards of the Coast is thinking, what the marketing team, the economic team, are they sitting there going, what just happened? It makes me wonder, right? Or do they just kind of go, move on to the next, which is what I think sometimes happens too. Depends on who you're dealing with and which exec happens to be at the meeting. Either way, thanks again, guys, for being here. We'll see what happens with Murders at Karlov Manor later on. We got a few weeks to go. Upcoming sets will take over the tone of what happens, right? The fourth quarter earnings will blow over with time and we'll move on to Thunder Junction. But until that point, until we get the Fallout numbers and see how things are really going, which, by the way, I know the small stores are sold out. I know orders were canceled. I talked about that. But the bigger stores still seem to have no problem. The guys I contacted don't seem to have any issue filling all the pre-orders that they've got ready. And they have, in some cases, a lot of boxes available. So I don't know if it's going to be hard in certain areas or just hard to get in general, but I think the bigger stores are going to have it anyway, so maybe it'll get doled out in the secondary market, or maybe players will have to go to the bigger stores to buy, but we'll find out. I'll let you guys know the closer we get to let you know how the pre-sold numbers are going, okay? Thanks a lot, guys. Just give me like 4 or 5 days. I got to count some stuff up and get some emails out. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out. It is early in the day, and you know what? It's 4:13 in the morning. I know. I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys today. I'll see you guys later today.